Tim with Force Automotive. Just going over the third step. I guess it's actually steps 1 through 3 in the turbo install. We've already covered the first couple. The next step was to drain the coolant. To make things easier, I can show you that there is a drain valve here, or a bolt, and there's also one pipe that I've already removed that comes down from the radiator and back here, and there is a drain valve right about here behind the wiring harness to drain your coolant that I found, and I'll be happy to show you that too. This is that pipe. This is the lower end, and there's the drain valve on that one. It says to remove that pipe as well, so that's why that's out. The radiator needs to be removed. That's pretty straightforward. Other than you gotta weasel out the fan wiring harness, so be careful not to yank anything. The wiring harness to the fan's unplugged down here, quite a ways away. And then there's some vent tubes that connect right here, and there's one over here, right here. Just like a vent tube, and I just left those in the side-by-side. Just unhook those. Other than that, you just got to unbolt it, get the top bracket off, and get your radiator hoses disconnected. So this is the top bracket here. I just left it in here too because there's some hoses hooked to it, and I don't like taking anything out that has, unless I have to, just get it out of the way, So my suggestion would be to get, just for ease of access of things, some rounded metric Allen bits. You don't have to have them, but when you're going at these hard angles, it just makes stuff so much easier. So removing the air box was a little tricky, not too bad. It says to clean everything first. I pressure washed this for hours on the other day before I started, but I would pay special attention to cleaning around the throttle bodies, because when you remove the intake, there's nothing I could do to not get a little sand. The blades are closed, but I used a vacuum to get the dirt out afterward, and then shove some paper towels down there. So the Allen head bits with the rounded ends are much easier to get to the clamps and stuff on this kind of stuff. I'm sure you can pick some up cheap. The only tricky thing about the air box is, there's some hoses you don't really see. There's one that runs from this to the air box. This one's pretty hard to see when it's installed. I pulled off the easy one here first, but other than that, there is a bolt right here that was evading me. There's one down here by this pipe as well, but that one's easy to see. But this one up here, I had to remove this panel a bit, and I may end up taking that all out. It's just I didn't see that in the instructions to remove this panel, but it says to use the Yamaha manual in order to remove the air filter and whatnot. So definitely maybe take this all the way out, or just partially, to access some bolts. I may just pull the driver's seat and get it all the way out eventually, but at this point I don't really see that I have to. So anyway, oh yes, and you're supposed to remove the header. That's got to be the easiest thing to do so far, was to just remove the header. I highly recommend putting all the bolts in separate piles, marking them with notes, stuff like that. Then you won't be so apt to leave bolts out or not know where they came from. But yeah, that's it for disassembly. The next step will be installation.